we are letting Biafrans know the reason why we should remember those who gave their lives for us, those who died that we may live.
You died to end my suffering. You died fighting for my freedom. Your blood is the seed of redemption. You are my inspiration.
The deed no wrong, but them military shots at them. 67 to 70, we remember them. 2016, 38 May, memory still lives in our mind till today. Wonder why they refuse to publicize the genocide. The world media turn blind eyes to our plight. It's time to arise, land of the rising sun. Let's rise one more time, let's rise.
The singing of our national anthem. Have we all passed it round? Have we all got the card? No. Okay. In our national anthem, if you haven't got the card, I'll read it out as we sing along. It's a hymnal.
Come, you.
Our national anthem is among the best on the planet because it's anchored on God. So let us sing it with some dignity. Land of the sun. It starts with saying, land of the rising sun we love and cherish. Land of the rising sun we love and cherish. Land of our brave heroes. Beloved of our great heroes. We must defend our lives, or we shall perish. We shall protect our hearts. The price is death for all we owe. But in the price is death for all we owe. Without a shred of fear. The Biafra consecrated nation. The land is be a son of these are be a dedication.
The camera, please.
starting a 2-minute silence.
People have persistently used God's name to commit silence.
Our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our cousins, all our relatives who died, including our friends who died that we may be standing here today. The 2-minute silence starts now. Of all our brothers and sisters, our relatives, born even the unborn, that were mercilessly killed during the years of poverty and up to now, rest in perfect peace. Amen. You can turn around now.
Wars become more bloody when religious sentiments are attached. Enemies take each other as abominable impudence are deserved to die. During the Nigerian Biafra War, atrocities and war crimes were obviously committed, but the international community failed to identify or recognize the ethnic and religious implications. However, the purpose of this work is neither to apportion blames or criticize anyone, but to preserve history and to let our younger generations who were not born during that struggle know the kind of sins we used to use and heroes of Biafran soldiers.
I want to This side, no, the other side, the smaller one. The other one, sorry, my love. It is live in London. YouTube is live in London. We are remembering our fallen heroes today. You know, I'm alive. It's live. I'm going to make a voice. It's live. That's what
Just reflect what you're looking for.
Biafra. IPOB. IPOB. One family. IPOB. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. Biafra. I can almost hear you. Biafra. I'll tell you when you're freedom. Biafra. That's better. You're awake now. We're going to the next part of the program, which is called of the prayer, where we actually list the names of those who died during the war. And there will be 7 readings. They're only a mere representative of what happened. You can't list everybody. We had to maybe another 50 years. But there'll be kind of list, and there'll be a response from every one of us. If you have got our books, which you all have in your minds as petitions, to point it to the ground when they're told. We will tell you how everybody should respond. Okay, so the first lesson is going to be read by our able deputy coordinator, who will introduce himself to your people. Biafra, Biafra, freedom. Thank you, Biafra, for being here today. My name is Valentine Stadium. I hail from Bangkok. Bangkok is Dato is Northern Province, Biafra land. So let's go straight to the point and carry on with the reading. This is going to be first reading. And as my studio have explained, at a certain point I will tell you what to respond, and then you have to say after me. Right. We begin. Attention please, one house. Right. Fellow Biafrans, we are gathered here today, Uboteke, 30th May 2018, to pay befitting Biafra Memorial Service and the journey of remembrance to not only honor our heroes, but to ask the Almighty Creator, Chukwu Abiyama, to grant their spirit eternal rest in His kingdom. It is our custom through the ages for Biafra to pay their respect to fellow departed Biafran. Our thoughts and prayers are with all families whose loved ones, father, mother, brothers, sisters, uncle, aunt, husband, wife, children, unborn children, nursing mother, and many more were killed during the war and being killed, maimed, beheaded, massacred on daily basis by Islamic Jihad in Nigeria, and also all Biafrans who have died fighting for what they believe in. And at this moment, we invite every family and friend to remain coordinated for the memorial service and the journey of remembrance. We remember our people who suffered and died so that we could be free and secure. May their memory be more than a distant shadow. We remember. Now you go after me, say we remember. Major General John Thomas Omonagwe Heroes, we remember. Colonel T.C. Omutu Amatu, we remember. Lieutenant Colonel Nicholas Ejike, we remember. Major Chukuma Kaduna Nzobo, we remember. Captain G.N.E. Ogala, we remember. Major C.J. Anuforo, we remember. Major D.O. Okafor, we remember. Second Lieutenant A.D. Badiwe, we remember. Lieutenant A.D.C. Ebula, we remember. Captain A.L. Orok, we remember. Captain A.O. Abet, we remember. Major B.E. Namane, we remember. Major Christopher Emefolonu, we remember. Using this light candle, Raise it up facing the east. Raise it up facing the east. The general response go after me. For their dreams, left unfulfilled, and their lives taken too soon, away from us, and humanity, we remember. And may their courage be our inspiration and strength. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. Remember our dead heroes, the people that fought that Biafra left.
We remember.
All hail Biafra. My name is Chikelua Popular known as Suzoka. I'm a London coordinator. Second reading. The souls of the righteous are the hands of people who pay at them. And there shall be no more torment touching them in the sight of the unwise. They seem to die. And their departure is taken for this. They are ongoing from us to be of destruction. But they are in peace. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded for Chukika Abiam. Prove them and found them worthy for himself. We remember our brothers and sisters, our father, our mothers, and the children who sacrificed, kept the dream of Biafra based on truth. Love and justice are alive. Captain Chukwueke, Lieutenant E.C.N. Achebe, Second Lieutenant E. Ogbonnaya, Lieutenant Colonel G.O. Okonze, Lieutenant G.O. Mbabie, Captain H.A. Ilobu Butaife, Major I.E. Ekeneme, Lieutenant I. Bokoro, Captain E.U. Jidika, Major I. Major J.I. Obienuro, Major J.O.C. Using a lighted candle
raise up to the east. We say, general response. May their courage be our inspiration and strength. All hail Biafra.
No. It's not there. It's there.
That man there may be too. It's okay.
It's a question. It doesn't look as if we are organized, huh?
Together, pay a slight forward to our heroes, the brave men and women who died that we may live. This last office and honor paid to our dead provides us an opportunity to express our sense of love and to offer the tribute in their memory, while they enable us, likewise, to bear witness to our belief, the immortality of the soul. Life not short and mission unrealized. Today we remember Lieutenant David Owe Tafasirie, Lieutenant J.U. Oba, Captain Jonathan Ejere, Lieutenant J.J. Modibo, Captain L. Nibe, Major Obi, Major O. Dixon, Captain E.C. Okoye, Second Lieutenant Ike Onyenebo, Second Lieutenant E.D. Ikebiyo, Lieutenant S.E. Onwekwe, Captain S.E. Madu Abu, Major T.E. Dogu, or Major T.E. Sebu, Lieutenant E.O. Captain Aru Amadue, using a lighted candle, praise it on destiny, which says,
Daniel, going.
My name is Obidike. In particular, they remind us that our lives are to be lived in accordance with divine providence and ready to lay it down for the cause of Biafra and salvation of humanity. Now we are diligently to work while it is yet day, so that when the call comes to let down our youth, we may be found ready to enter into the kingdom of Biafra, God, where in his life we shall see light. We remember the fallen of our Biafran armed forces. We remember the victims of terror and tragedy. We remember the millions of defenseless women, men and children bombed in the markets, strapped to their death in schools and hospitals by Soviet ships and piloted by Egyptians. And we remember WOI Elijah Anosike, Sergeant Ewo Ejiogu, WO Darake Oya, Staff Sergeant Davidson Njogu, Staff Sergeant Silvanus Ezebu, Sergeant Ivan Jim Udo, Corporal Pius Dike, Corporal Michael Abudike, Corporal Johnson Abu, Lieutenant Corporal Gabriel Okezie, Sergeant Mbanefo, using a lighted candle which will be raised to the east, facing east, we shall say, may their courage be our inspiration, and strength.
All hail Biafra!
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 Biafra!
Freedom!
Biafra!
Freedom!
Biafra!
Freedom!
Biafra!
Freedom!
Freedom!
Biafra!
My voice is one. Facebook, if I can't have a voice, I got a mix system.
The world is seeing you. Come on to the next camera.
All hail Biafra!
All hail Biafra!
All hail Biafra!
Trafalgar. We are remembering our heroes.
Out of
In pain, life was spent and work well done. Let us humbly pray that we may be given grace, strength, and wisdom to enable us to perform our duty in the pathway of God, quest of life's service. May the darkness of the lost not obscure the light of our people. They were in love with the land of Biafra and were in love with life. For the agony, the tears, the mothers and fathers, and the children who were massacred, we remember Lieutenant Colonel David Ishukuma, P.T. Fidelis Onyekwe, P.T. Mba Iroha, Sergeant Celestine Okafu, Lieutenant Colonel William Olani, P.T. Innocent, Lieutenant Colonel Joshua Onyejiaka, W.O.I. Joseph Mba, L. Captain Matthew Njubike, Sergeant Joseph Ibekwe. Using the lighted candle, raise it up, facing the east. And we say, general response by all. May the courage be our inspiration and strength.
Be our inspiration and strength.
He said, Oye Biafra. 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 Freedom.
Biafra.
My name is Chinta Ojukalo.
and by the grace of Chukwuka Abiyama, I'm the merchant coordinator. By the light of divine countenance, we shall then pass through here in the face of our adversary, through the valley of the shadow, and at least we shall receive the reward of true virtues, of truth and honesty, and acquire the position of Biafra knowledge and of immortal inheritance. For death cannot keep us from the face of Chukwuka Abiyama, whose strong grip will free us from Nigerian bondage and fit us out from shadow into the light that cannot die. In the numberless towns and villages in Nigeria and the rest of Africa and elsewhere in Europe and Asia, where we have lived, in too many of them we have endured cruel suffering, died in the hands of our fellow human beings, just because of who we are. We remember Sergeant Afoburu, Sergeant Peter Matthew. Hello. Sergeant Michael Uche. Influence, Sergeant Boniface Ifeanyi. Captain Timothy Iseyi. Sunday Amolu. Captain Anthony Amolu. Captain Paul Udoka. Captain Festus Nwadike. Using a light candle, raise it up, facing the east. We say,
all hail Biafra. All hail
yeah. The general response is, so we have forgotten. Others are shared. In our memory. A wound that does not heal. May the courage be our inspiration. And strength. All hail Biafra! All hail Biafra! All hail Biafra! All hail Biafra! Biafra! Freedom! Biafra!
My name is Kuba Benjamin Okereke.
I hear you.
I am the Croydon Family Branch Coordinator in Southwest. I am also from Wele, Winnie, in Owerri Province, in Biafra land. Thank you. And I'm going to read the generation of victims amidst still their blood cries out from the earth. What can we say? What can we do? How do we bear the unbearable or accept what life has for our people? We knew that all that was born must die, but how do we compare the slow passage of time with the callous slaughter and the starvation of the millions of innocent cut off before? before their time. They lived with faith and hope. They live with hope and faith. Not all, but most. And surely most die with faith in God, Chukwu Abiyama. In life, in the goodness that even flames cannot destroy, may we find a way to increase and strengthen of them of that faith, that trust, that sure sense that life and soul endure beyond this body's death. We remember couple Williams Abata, couple Okori Agu, couple Wilfred Azubike, couple Reginald Green, couple Joseph Adaka, couple Salas Uzomba, Lieutenant Couple Baris Ibekwe, Planet Joseph Ibe, and Colonius Iwoha, and John Eke Jumba. Using a light candle, raise it up facing the east. We say, please, general response. May their courage be our inspiration and strength. May their courage be our inspiration and strength. Say, Almighty and most merciful Chukwu Abiyama, in whom we live and moved and have our being, and before whom all men must hereafter appear to render an account of the deeds done in the body, we do most earnestly beseech thee to impress upon our minds the solemnity and the infamy of this day. May we ever remember that in the midst of life we are in death, and so live and act our separate parts, that we may have no cause for sorrow or fear. When the hour of departure is at hand, and on this we commit our being in pursuit of Biafra nation, that the souls of those who have died may find rest in your presence. Say, all hail
Biafra! 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 What do we want? Biafra! When do we want it? Now! All hail Biafra! All hail Biafra! And they left me the longest bit to read. And I'm supposed to read what Ojukwu read for us on the 30th of May 1967 in the Declaration of Biafra. So bear with me. My name is Justice Onyemuche Chukwuakije Bukachi Lois. I'm from Owerri Onkwim, Owerri Province, Biafra land. It is my great pleasure to be in a position, and by the grace of God as a UK National Coordinator, I'm going to read before you just to remind us all what the whole thing has been about. It's a declaration of the nation of Biafra, May 30th, 1967, by departed Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Ojukwu. And he read, fellow countrymen and women, you the people of Eastern Nigeria, conscious of the supreme authority of Almighty God over all mankind, of your duty to yourselves and posterity, aware that you can no longer be protected in your lives and in your property by any government based outside Eastern Nigeria, believing that you are born free and have certain inalienable rights which can best be preserved by yourselves. Unwilling to be unfree partners in any association of a political or economic nature. Rejecting the authority of any person or persons other than the military government of the Eastern Nigeria to make any imposition of whatsoever kind or nature upon you. Determined to dissolve all political and other ties between you and the former Federal Republic of Nigeria. Prepared to enter into such association, treaty or alliance with any sovereign state within the former Federal Republic of Nigeria and elsewhere on such terms and conditions as best to subserve your common good. Affirming your trust and confidence in me, having mandated me to proclaim on your behalf and in your name that Eastern Nigeria be a sovereign, independent republic. Now, therefore, I, Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu, Military Governor of Eastern Nigeria, by virtue of the authority and the pursuant of the principles recited above, do hereby solemnly proclaim that the territory and the region known as and called Eastern Nigeria, together with our continental shelf and territorial waters, shall henceforth be an independent sovereign state of the name and title of the Republic of Biafra. And I do declare that all political ties between us and the Federal Republic of Nigeria are hereby totally dissolved. All subsisting contractual obligations entered into by the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or by any person, authority or organization or government acting on its behalf with any person, authority or organization operating or relating to any matter or thing within the Republic of Biafra shall henceforth be deemed to be entered into with the military governor of the Republic of Biafra, for and on behalf of the government of the people of the Republic of Biafra, and the covenant thereof shall, subject to this declaration, be performed by the party according to their tenor.
I don't think so. I think so.
All subsisting international treaties and obligations made on behalf of the Eastern Nigeria by the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be honored and respected. The Eastern Nigeria due share of all subsisting international debits or debts and obligations entered into by the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be honored and respected. Steps will be taken to open discussions of the question of Eastern Nigeria's due share of the assets of the Federation of Nigeria and personal properties of the citizens of Biafra throughout the Federation of Nigeria. The rights, privileges, pensions, etc. of all personnel of the public services, the armed forces and the police now serving in any capacity within the Republic of Biafra are hereby guaranteed. We shall keep the door open for association with and will welcome any sovereign unit or units in the former Federation of Nigeria or in any other part of Africa desirous of association with us for the purpose of running a common services organization and for the establishment of economic ties. We shall protect the lives and property of all foreigners residing in Biafra. We shall extend a hand of friendship to those nations who respect our sovereignty and shall repel any interference in our internal affairs. We shall faithfully adhere to the Charter of the Organization of African Unity and of the United Nations Organization. It is our intention to remain a member of the British Commonwealth of Nations in our right as sovereign, independent nation. Long live the Republic of Biafra, and may God protect all who live in her.
All hail Biafra. What do we want? What do we want? And when do we want it? Are you sure? My name is Ken Abuba. I'm from Angarambano, Okigwe Province, Biafra land. On this day, Biafrans across the earth have gathered to mourn, celebrate, and remember our brothers and sisters, heroes who sacrificed to keep us alive. We also thank our surviving veterans and console with them on their fallen comrades. We also console the survivors and join them to pray for relatives, friends who are looking down on us today. On this day, on July 6, 1967, the Federal Republic of Nigeria attacked the young Republic of Biafra and declared war on her. This war lasted for 925 days. Gowon boasted, we will crush Biafra in 3 weeks. Fighting against Nigeria, aided by Russia, Great Britain, Egypt, and Arab countries, Biafrans held firm, taunting Nigeria as their #1 weapon supplier. 925 days equals to 22,200 hours. Within this period, the heroics and bravery of Biafran warriors was there for the world to see. Under the siege by overwhelming forces and powers, in the truest sense of genocide against the people, our fallen heroes put up a resistance the world has ever known to save their citizens against intended extinction planned by Nigeria and her evil allies. For every hour of the day of 925 days, on average, 135 Biafras were sent to their early grave. Think about it. 135 Biafrans for every hour for 925 days. If you got your calculator, do the sums. 135 people for 22,225 hours. That's in 925 days. The First World War lasted for 4 years, but only 240 people were killed every hour. But Nigeria wanted to extinct Biafrans, but our heroes stood firm. Many of these 135 were not buried. There were no casket for them. Their corpses littered the roads along Enugu, Port Harcourt Road, Onitsha-Owerri Road, Ikote Bene, Umuahia Road, all the roads in Biafra territory. The corpses were littered. Nobody to bury them. It was our gallant heroes retreating who put the bodies in trenches along the road and covered them with leaves to protect them from vultures and wild animals. That's the burial some of them had between 1967 and 1970. Nobody sang till we meet again or performed any of our burial rituals for them. Nobody read any scriptures for them. Nobody cuddled or cried for them because our people had no strength to cry. 135 deaths every hour for 925 days. In Biafra, our custom is that we sing. We pray to our ancestors to take care of their children who have come to join them. Today, May 30th, and every May 30th, Biafrans across the globe will mourn, we will remember, and we will celebrate all the 135 Biafrans who were held into eternity every hour for 22,200 hours. Today we remember our heroes and heroines. We remember our moms and dads. We remember our brothers and sisters, especially those who were poisoned at infancy. We also remember our friends and supporters who brought our story to the wider world. We thank them and our surviving veterans for fighting for us. May their souls rest in peace. We will never forget the 135 Biafrans murdered every hour for 925 days. Long live Biafra! Long live Biafra!
All hail Biafra! All hail Biafra! 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 What do we want? I can't hear you. What do we want? When do we want it? And part of the reason why we want Biafra is because of all the killings. This time we're going to do what we call audience participation. And we'll be reading from this Biafra magazine all the killings they've been doing to us, to remind us that those who just listed their name are just, a drop in the ocean. So everyone needs to participate, and I'm going to start because there are 101 pages. No, I'm only joking. There's 101 events which is listed in here about events which Nigeria have been doing. So the more we know about it, the better. So I'm going to start and pass it on. When it's your turn, you just read one. This is how it's going to work. So I'm talking to you about the genocide which has been going on. Why is it important? It's the genocide that made us want to leave Nigeria. If anyone sees CJ, can you go to the turntable, please? CJ, the cameraman, go to the turntable. Thank you. Right. The reason why we are Biafrans is because they killed us to kick us out of Nigeria. And then they killed us to bring us back into Nigeria. And they're still killing us. So there's so much blood that has been shed. Unless we understand the reason behind it, we must stop killing ourselves. So as I said to you, I'm going to begin, and when I read a line or two, I pass it on. And when I finish reading, you said, shame on Nigeria. Okay, that's what I want to say. When you hear me finish the sentence, say, shame on Nigeria. We remember, okay? Because they think they kill and they forget, or we forget. So here we go. Number 1, Jos, June 22nd, 1945. You see, they think we've forgotten. Over 200 Biafrans were massacred in Jos and their properties looted.
And over 25 Christians were killed. Shame to Nigeria. We remember. March 1988, Kaduna Polytechnic, Kaduna State Government destroyed a Christian chapel under construction. This led to religious uprising. Shame to Nigeria. Shame to Nigeria. We remember. That's it. 1988, Kaduna State, Abu University area, Benson Omeka, final year student, killed by Muslim student during student union election. Christian students were also stoned, maimed, and raped. Shame to Nigeria. We remember. 1988, Bauchi State, Gombe in Bauchi State Secondary School. Muslim students attacked Christian teachers and students in GSS Gombe, GTC Gombe, and GSS Bauchi and other secondary schools in Bauchi State. Some of the Christian students were badly wounded. Shame on Nigeria. Shame on Nigeria. We remember. April 20th to 23rd, 1981, Bauchi State. Fighting between Muslims and Christians. More than 200 people lost their lives and 700 churches and mosques were burnt. Shame on Nigeria. We remember. October 14th to 16th, 1991, Kano State, Kano. The Renat Bonke riots, fighting between Muslims and Christians as Muslim activities rampage and protest against a planned revival meeting during which a German evangelist, Ryan Banke, was expected to be the guest preacher.
Shame on Nigeria. We remember. October 1991, Plateau State. A young man from Anaguta was beaten to death on a field opposite the University of Jos during election primaries of the defunct Social Democratic Party, SDP. Shame on Nigeria. We remember. February 1992, Kano State. Many Christians were massacred and churches destroyed. Shame on Nigeria. We remember.
February 1992, Plateau State jail. A Christian.
In what I have entitled, Why Biafra's Sovereignty is Immutable. All hail Biafra! Members of the international community gathered here today, men and women of good conscience, either present here or absent, gentlemen and women of the press, fellow Biafrans both at home and those dispersed in the diaspora, and the souls of men, women, and children gathered, murdered by bloodthirsty Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I salute you all. Today we remember the fallen heroes of Biafra, men and women who laid down their lives in our various struggle for the emancipation of Biafra land and eased people from plunder, slavery, and butchery in the hands of Nigeria.
All hail Biafra! Please, we have got food. At the back there, the food is there. All hail Biafra! Friends and well-wishers. Most especially the friends. Please, only the neighbor. I saw battery charging here. I'm going to charge battery. Don't want battery. All hail Biafra! All hail Biafra! 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 Freedom! Please, if you need any food, drink, water, please go.
Oh gosh, we can
witnessed heinous atrocities all over the world. Wars become more bloody when religious sentiments are attached. Enemies see each other as abominable infidels that deserve to die. During the Nigeria-Biafra War, atrocities and war crimes were obviously committed, but the national community failed to identify or recognize the ethnic and religious implications. However, the purpose of this work is neither to apportion blames or criticize anyone, but to preserve history and to let our younger generations who were not born during the struggle know the kind of songs used to boost the morals of the Biafra soldiers.
Thank you.
Most of the Biafra war songs aimed at the negative invectives of the Nigerian government of oligarchy, who directed the killing of innocent Biafra women and children by imposing blockade on Biafra. All human contact with the outside world was cut off. Hence, the Nigerian military junta added hunger to the already existing weapons of mass destruction in their arsenal. Neither food nor medicine were allowed into Biafra, hence malnutrition, begot by shock, also known as Heroines syndrome. We are Biafrans, fighting for our freedom, by the name of Jesus, we shall conquer. We are Biafrans, fighting for our freedom, by the name of Jesus, we shall conquer. Biafra, fighting for our freedom, by the name of Jesus, we shall conquer. We are Biafrans, fighting for our freedom, by the name of Jesus, we shall conquer. voice of the Kokondem of Radio Biafra and other sincere-hearted people all over the world for its famously invented the dislike of the king of the Biafran children. The Russian and Egyptian pilots, under the auspices of the Nigerian military junta, continued the vicious aerial attack on Biafra without being powerful bombs into Biafran schools, churches, markets, refugee camps, and hospitals, killing hungry and sick Biafran children. Today, we have Armed Forces Remembrance Day, but not even an hour is set aside to remember thousands of Biafran children who died as a result of hunger, orchestrated by the blockade, and as a result of bombs dropped by the fiendish Egyptian and Russian pilots fighting for the Nigerian military junta.
Camera, come on, let's go!
George. 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 Ugo. Come on. Wow, nice. Why not from ever? Never back. All on that woman be happy. You know, Tom. Huh?
This is our veteran.
This country, you go see all this thing. They go come for television, they talk human rights.
This is our veteran, he wants to talk to us. Most of us wasn't born 1967-70. If you want to know what happened, listen very carefully. I'll help Biafra.
All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. 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 My name is David Okonkwo. I'm from Umuchu. Umuchu to Oka is 50 miles. Then from Onitsha to Umuchu is the same 50 miles. I will still find out which province I belong to. If it's not Oka, it's going to be Onitsha. I was here during the war. You know that every individual, especially Nigerians, including the Northerners, even few of them, who came to this country, is to acquire education and nothing else. Not like this time, some people say they want to come to Britain and make money. But in those days, we came here to study. And it happened that I was here and was caught up with the 1967 war. During that time, you know what, especially we Igbos, you know what we are like. Once an Igbo man is on the floor and cry, we call it a aqualia. The rest of the individuals near him, they put in their lives and see the end of that problem. When the war started, we have few individuals. Those individuals, they were here before us. Some of them have graduated, and it happened that we bumped into them. And they started lecturing us, motivating us. When the war was at the peak, I remember one doctor and his unscrupulous colleagues. They arranged for all the Igbos to be coming at the hall called Batasi Town Hall. You can check it out. Not all the Igbos have left. Some of them are still in this country and they know exactly what happened in those days. Those of our leaders, they arranged for meeting at Batasi Town Hall. Batasi Town Hall accommodates almost 1,000 individuals. Check it out. All of us gathered inside Batasi Town Hall to make a contribution in restoration of that Biafra. Because Ojukwu, our leader at that time, wanted some students here to contribute as little as they could. And we started. You can imagine if you were with us at that particular time. Some of these individuals, their parents sent them here to study. They abandoned their studies and joined the struggle. Some of them used their school fees to make the contribution, of which I was one of them. They started making a lot of contribution towards the restoration of that Biafra. And you can imagine 10 pounds into 1,000. You can imagine how much that we can do. What happened? All those people can never be trusted. And they started collecting all these thousands and thousands of pounds in 1967. What did they do with those money? They started sharing the money and started buying properties with them. At that time, the property in London was under 10,000. 3-bedroom house was under 10,000. Compare it with what an average 3-bedroom house is today. And at the end of the war, what happened? Most of these students, they were nowhere. Because the propaganda those people used for them to motivate them to join the struggle was, why do you go to college? Why are you going to college? Your house is burning and you are pursuing rats and mice. And if you were in that position, what would you do? You will abandon your study. You will say to yourself, let us get the restoration of Biafra first. Education can come second. And what happened? At the end of that very war, Biafra war, no money was sent to Ojukwu. But they told us they will be sending money to Ojukwu to help with the struggle. That is why when you see people, some of the old people like myself now, when you tell them, oh, there is a meeting, there is an Igbo meeting somewhere, you find most of them, nobody wants to listen, nobody wants to patronize you, nobody wants to listen, nobody wants to know. Because those people, we are just like what I should call today, onion and onion. That is what they wear. So can you imagine? After 3 years, you left your study after 3 years, and you are coming back. Where would you start? Some of our colleagues in those days, most of them have graduated at that time. And where do you start? You know what education is like. If you leave your education for at least a year or two, you know what you are going to get in return. You will never catch up. I was totally destroyed. There's no question about it. countless of some of the students who took their life, because when they came up, they look back from they just got confused, and some of them committed suicide. That is why you can see I am in this struggle now, irrespective of my two biological brothers. They were killed outside. The Northerners killed them. I have no brother at this present moment. I have no biological brother. So you can imagine. That is why when I joined here, and the present coordinator took me in, and I saw what was going there, I was overwhelmed. I was so pleased. And I said, I wouldn't mind eating once a day. If I have a little, I will contribute for the restoration of this Biafra.
All hail Biafra! All hail Biafra! The voice of our veteran. Don't call me rebel! Nigerian soldier, don't call me rebel. I'm a citizen, you're a foreigner.
Don't call me rebel.
Are you there?
Soldier, don't call me rebel. I'm a citizen.
Dance more now. Don't call me rebel. Nigerian soldiers, don't call me rebel. I'm a citizen, you're a foreigner.
Don't call me rebel. Nigerian soldier, don't call me rebel. I'm a citizen, you're a foreigner.
Don't call me rebel. Buhari soldiers, don't call me rebel. I'm a citizen, you're a foreigner.
Don't call me rebel. Buhari soldier, don't call me rebel. I'm a citizen.
All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. We are their nightmares. No going back. No going back. This thing is streaming live. Buhari and Co, they will never have peace of mind. London. Oh, hail Biafra! Oh, hail Biafra! 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 Why do you have to forget one person? Will you be now? Onye bu mare na dimma. Anya bia go na London. Ngwa ni nezi anyi bia buwe. Ọkọ na ofolo ofu onye ọkọ na eziokwu e. Nni anwodo. Onye kwasị na tuto. Anya bia go na London. Ngwa ni nezi asi bia tuba o.
In Abia State, Nigeria. I'm not gonna say I've got the experience of the war, but I was deeply affected, and that affection has actually made me to come out here and to say, look, Biafra, we must achieve. And my uncle fought alongside Ojukwu, and I remember in those days my grandmother died, and Ojukwu had to attend the funeral. Also, my cousins, they lost their parents during the war. Yes, my cousins lost their parents during the war. I've got one cousin, two of them. One is an orphan because no mother, no father. His brothers all died during the war, and that is how we were really affected. I've got my cousin as well. He fought the war, and today he's got one eye because it was shot, you know. So that is why I'm here. I don't know how to say it. I am deeply, I don't want to, you know, I'm always emotional whenever I talk about Biafra. Already I'm an activist, you know, I work with the union, you know, employment, I'm a lawyer, you know, and I work with the union, you know, and I help, you know, with all their employment issues. But having been an activist in my profession is quite different from, you know, a Biafra supporter. Till death do me part, I am going to support Biafra, and I know that we are going to realize Biafra not next year, but this year by His special grace. All hail Biafra! All hail Biafra! All hail Biafra! Biafra! Freedom! Nubania, I ain't gonna make that Biafra by God's grace.
Biafra! Freedom! We are Biafra, fighting for our freedom. In the name of Chukwa Biama, we must conquer.
We are Biafra, fighting for our freedom. In the name of Chukwa Biama, we must conquer.
Oh, we are Biafra, we are fighting for our freedom. In the name of Chukwa Biama, we must conquer.
We are Biafra, fighting for our freedom. In the name of Chukwa Biama, we must conquer.
We are Biafra, fighting for our freedom. In the name of Chukwa Biama, we must conquer.
We are Biafra, fighting for our freedom. In the name of Chukwa Biama.
Good afternoon, Biafrans, and good afternoon to the world. There's a few things I wanted to cover and to remind everybody, particularly the importance of media.
I know. That's true.
Going to turn me up a bit. Okay, I want to cover the Biafra War and bring us up to date today. In 1966 was massacres in the north, which led to Biafrans calling for their own republic. As they went for their independence, they sparked a war. Nigeria attacked Biafra. There's a lot of misconceptions to that, and there's a lot of people that believe that it was the other way around, and it's not the fact. The fact is that Nigeria went to war against Biafra, and Britain supported that.
England, not
As you can see from the posters today, they're still supporting that. But there's a lot of difference between British government and the British people, and it's one of the things that I want to make people understand today. At the beginning of the Biafra War, in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Port Harcourt, right up there. Okay, sorry everybody, we have to start again. Okay, so readdressing, as I was saying, the media and the importance of media, and I wanted to go back and, and explain that in 1966, Biafrans were massacred in the north of Nigeria, and 2 million Biafrans from all over returned back to Biafra land. You see, I've been pulled again. Sorry everybody. To introduce myself, my name is Carol Monday. Everybody knows me as Law Carol Monday. I'm the special representative for the indigenous people of Biafra, an editorial board member of Radio Biafra, and I'm also assistant to Nnamdi Kanu. Unfortunately, Nnamdi Kanu has been missing for some months now. His home was attacked in Umuahia. And his father, who's a traditional leader, a king if you like, of Biafra land, is also missing with his wife, Lolo Biafra. Back to what I was saying. Okay, media was what I wanted to come back to, and the English people. The British government, as you know, is backing Nigeria in the war. They backed Nigeria against Biafra. A lot of it was Harold Wilson. He, sorry to catch my breath there. Harold Wilson told a lot of lies, and he covered up a lot of atrocities. Even the British government themselves weren't aware of how much arms were going to Nigeria. One of the things that happened during the war, in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, there was a young orphan boy, 2-3 years old, in the hospital, and there was a Times journalist there, and as soon as he heard the aeroplanes coming over the air raid. The boy, as soon as he heard the planes coming, ran and hid under the cot, as terrified because he'd heard the planes. And this struck the Times reporters, and at the time they wrote, "We can't wait for 1 million people to die." That was the headline of the Times at the time. And before that, the British press had silenced the news of the genocide that was ongoing in Biafra. In fact, the first genocide pictures that were taken by a Daily Express photographer, and those photographs were squashed by the media. The editor said that they weren't newsworthy, that they were just Oxfam posters, and that he wasn't interested in them. But as it went on, and the Times picked it up, and obviously Winston Churchill, his son, Winston Churchill Jr., made a lot of press coverage for the Times. There's quite a few people, although at the time of the war, Biafrans used mark press in Geneva to try to propagate their news, to get it out from Nigeria, because obviously Nigeria didn't want any publicity. But there was still a lot of help from the UK, again, not from the British government. The press here helped. One of the most notary is Susan Garth. She's the lady who actually opened Portobello Road Market. She started the Biafra Babies Appeal and flew relief aid to Biafra from the UK. She brought a lot of orphans back into the UK, into Bristol, into London, and gave them refuge from the war in Biafra land at the time. She also brought, when one of the children died, a young Igbo girl died, she took the body in a coffin of the Igbo girl to Buckingham Palace and said, "This is what you've done, you know, what you're going to do." And she dropped the coffin at Buckingham Palace. Later they returned it and said, you know, that she would have to take care of the burial. There was a lot of appeals. Blue Peter is one of the most famous ones. If everybody will remember, in the late 60s, the Blue Peter appeal for genocide. A lot of people donated money. That money never went to Biafra. That money was held by British government as a conflict of interest. So as the people here were trying to help, the government was stopping any help. There was a lot at the time, popular people that spoke out for Biafra, a lot of journalists. Auburn War was a major journalist. He even named his daughter Biafra. Jonathan Dibley, John Lennon gave back his OBE and said, you know, I'm not supporting this because you don't, you know, you're killing all these people in Biafra. Bob Geldof obviously started Band-Aid and then went on to help Ethiopia. Mick Jagger's girlfriend held petitions for Biafra. But today what I want to ask the question is, what happened in 1970? What happened after the war and after the genocide? What happened when Biafrans could take no more? According to Israeli records, 5.2 million people were starved to death. Most of those were women and children, the elderly particularly, and the young, because obviously they're the most at risk. What happened after the war? In January 1970, the war ended. Biafra couldn't take anymore. They went back into Nigeria and said, you know, they couldn't take anymore. Russia and Britain, everybody was a lot of people were supporting against Biafra. Although Biafra had a lot of support from France, Gabon, Ivory Coast, etc. Unfortunately, they decided that they couldn't take anymore.
Why is that?
But what happened? Everybody seems to think that it was some sort of cricket match, and at the end of it, at the end of the war, everybody went back to being chums. It wasn't that way at all. Nigeria has persisted to massacre Biafrans. After the war, it was so bad, the relief aid routes were cut off. The Biafrans were receiving aid from flights into Biafra land at 2 airports in Biafra land. Those airports were closed down and the relief routes by air were closed off. Gowon made an order that all relief aid had to come through Lagos. There was relief aid in Saton, Gabon, Ivory Coast, sitting, going to waste, food rotting, because there was no way of getting it into Biafra land itself. The Holy Fathers, the Irish Holy Fathers, believed that there was thousands more killed because that relief was held. Paul Harrison and the Holy Fathers, a filmmaker, made a program in September 1970 to cover what was actually really happening and what Nigeria was covering up, because Nigeria had put a block on all publicity and demanded that there be no publicity going out. So they went with a camera back to the orphanages, bit of music, and they went back with a camera and they made a film that was to be aired on Panorama. Unfortunately, the British government blocked the airing of that film. They forbade it to be aired. As we go on now, we are bringing you up to date. Nigeria is still massacring Biafrans. Today is the 30th of May. It is a holy day. It's a remembrance day for everybody. They honour their dead, the millions that gave their lives so their sons and daughters could live. However, there is a report that's come in today. A young man has been shot in Aba in Biafra land. He was with his friends on his veranda celebrating Biafra Day on the Port Harcourt Road in Aba, and police in a Hilux drove past, saw the boys, went after them with their rifles. The younger boy has been killed today and his body has been taken away by the army. And when we do 30th of May around the world, in 2015-2016 IPOB asked, everybody went out to celebrate in mass, but because Biafrans are killed whenever they try to celebrate, they asked for a sit-at-home order. This was the order today. This boy was sitting at home on his veranda and is still being picked off by Nigerian army. Whether that body will turn up or not, we don't know. It may turn up in a morgue. We don't know what the armies do with these bodies. Sometimes they just disappear with them. This is the reality of what's going on today. The British government is still divided. Personally, I believe it's a lot to do with the House of Lords. They still believe that they own the land.
Money.
But we have to, as British, stand against what's going on and ask for a referendum in Biafrans. Biafrans do not want to go to war. They do not want to suffer as they have done before, even though mentally they're prepared because they have nothing left to live for. They are being Ismailized from the north now, and they only want their freedom. And as the international laws have changed and the world is supposed to have grown up a little bit, we ask that you give them the human rights to have that option, to be able to be asked the question, do they want to remain in Nigeria or do they want Biafra independence? Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
first occasion at Owerri, I'm a translated Owerri, I was putting only 6 bullets when my friend an army that was fully armed from head to toe. However, when we are to start, from there, eventually,
woman, that's why I gave her a holy father to give me. So that problem will finish. On the table.
Mama.
So as I was saying, I was in the fourth form in the grammar school when the Nigerians brought war to the Biafrans because I was taunted in Lagos, and I was initially with the 8th Company, 75 Battalion, 68th Strike Brigade, S-Day. My first forward location was Nnekede, Amos Nnekede, and we were going to push the Nigerians back from the bridgehead over the Olamide River. At that time, we were facing an army that was fully armed from head to toe. And believe it or not, in that operation, I had only 6 bullets with Mark III, cock and shoot. And these other people, their enemies, were fully armed with automatic rifles. However, we were beaten back in that operation. Eventually, I was withdrawn with my company to join the forces at Emmanuel College, Owerri. We fought, and eventually from there, we liberated Owerri town. After liberating Owerri town, we went to Owerri. We went to Owerri. From Owerri, we went to OBK. From OBK, we went to Port Harcourt Axis. And at Port Harcourt Axis, we were given in one operation to capture LL1. But we were suitably supported by Biafran converted agricultural vehicle converted to armor carrying vehicle. And what happened? Because we were suitably armed and supported, we were able to push the Nigerians back. We captured in that operation LL1, LL2, LL3, and we moved on to war. So, what I'm saying is, by sharing this experience with you, is to tell you all, every person in this gathering, what the Biafrans can do. What way the Biafrans can do. Now, imagine the weight of the country comes from the south, and the southerners are marginalized. We are being killed. Here in this gathering, we are demonstrating, remembering the different heroes who fell. But not a single soldier, not a single British soldier is on site to mow us down. In Nigeria, the zoo, no demonstration. I believe that peaceful demonstration is a fundamental right, fundamental human right. But even the killings of 3.5 Biafrans in Nigeria, today we are still being killed. No demonstration in Nigeria. We, in the North from Biafra, have been labeled a terrorist organization, and that is not possible. Here is a soldier on site to mow us down. No, but we dare not do that in Nigeria. When we are on the Civil War, Nigeria Biafra War, when we are cut off from the sea, blockaded from the sea by air, by land and by sea, but we managed empty-handedly to keep going for almost 3 years. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. So what I'm saying therefore is, we want to be free. We want to be free. We are not part of Nigeria. We are free people. We are Christians. We are not Muslims. We welcome all religions, but we cannot face the slaughter, the killing of our people. We cannot face the raping of our women. We cannot face being slaughtered for doing nothing. So we want referendum to give us the opportunity to leave Nigeria. The Scotland had their referendum a couple of years ago. They were not killed. They were not slaughtered. But in Nigeria, freedom fight is an act of insubordination according to Nigerian authority. We want Biafra. We want Biafra. And Biafra is the answer to we, the Biafrans. The restoration of Biafra is a must. We are formidable and we must march on. There's no stopping. We must march on. Biafra! Freedom! Biafra! Freedom! God bless Biafra.
All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. 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 Freedom. We are rounding up. We are rounding up. I want to thank each and every one of us, the friends and well-wishers that are here present to support the 30th of May celebration 2018. Chukwu okike abịa ma gbaa unu ime o. Ọ ga-adụlụ nwoke ma ọ ga-adụlụ nwaanyị mma o. Ukwu iji wee bịa nga, ihe ejikwa ya wee na o. Ndị rapụ wee bịa 30th May, ihe eme itukwu ebe n'udo na ọnwụ. All we are asking for is, all we want is, all we want is Biafra, Biafra, freedom. We are rounding up. Preach very soon. I would like to invite one of the veterans to lead us in closing prayer, because not the reason. 30th of May Remembrance Day. UK National and around. Versus.
This is good. Any approach will come around for a head. You know if you know when you shoot the other side, you go that no concussion. Correct you.
All hail Biafra. Please, we want to say the closing prayer. Umu Biafra! Please, can you come together for the closing prayer? Before dancing to the end. We want to say closing prayer now because some of us still wants to go to work. And after that, dancing. Deacon, can do that bar, please? Can we come together? Closing prayer, please. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. Biafra. Freedom.
closing prayer. Our merciful Father, we thy humble children have gathered here to respect our dead heroes. And we are here to thank you so far for having brought all kings and kings, all the members and friends and foes, wherever they may be, who joined us in this celebration. We thank you and we glorify your name. Now we have come to the closing part of this ceremony. Father Lord, we are here to adore you and to beg you to take every one of us home in their respective places. Drive away the Satan and their agents that might come across our way so that we shall get home safe and well, and to respect you and to give you thanks for what you have done for us so far. And Father, we are still praying, begging you to help our leader, wherever he may be at this present moment, to give him sense and aspiration and good humor wherever he may be at this present time. Because we know that you are still helping us through him. And we are thanking Uchemefo, the assistant leader, who have been carrying all the burdens in the absence of Nnamdi Kanu. So we are thanking you and we are glorifying your name, and we thank you also for all our officials, the PROs, all the coordinators of individual zones, wherever they may be, who are working day and night with regards to this Biafra restoration. Please, Father, guide us, because we are crying for help. Take us home in the name of our Lord Yahweh, our Savior, the Most High, we have prayed.
All hail Biafra! All hail Biafra! 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 Freedom!
Because Caro happy.
Yagawa, Alamanu Kona. Why are you not we balazo, name. Alamanu Kona. Five out of the Senate, why can I not? Oh, job. When you're